know why you were here?
Zip, don't get scared.
Hey there, guys. It's been a while. It's been a little bit too long. There's a lot of ups, there's a lot of downs, and a lot of what have yous. And we need to talk. Because I'm back, baby. It's time to talk about movies, so I hope you grabbed your popcorn, something salty to eat, and something carbonated to drink, and let's talk about some movies, because I'm a dude in a pastel purple Ninja Turtle shirt. That's right, and I'm not afraid of anything, except society, and that's why I've been disassociating for the last month. And in all seriousness, for every week, for the last month, I have wanted to make a live stream. And I've had a lot going on. I'm now technically, well, not technically, I am officially a licensed home inspector in the state of Indiana. I passed my national certification. I passed all my exams. I sat down in a cubicle. They searched me. They made sure I wasn't cheating. I had to take a 4-hour exam, 200 questions. I had to study my ass off to pass it. But I'm officially a licensed home inspector. And you're probably asking yourself, John, why did you do that? Just talk about movies on YouTube. Well, that's a good point, and I have been doing that for the last 15 years. But in the back of my mind, I need a practical job outlet just in case. Because sometimes when I stay here in the Flick Cave for too long and I have to talk to a camera, I develop something called anxiety. I'm a perfectionist. Maybe I'm a bit neurotic at times. And sometimes I need an excuse to leave the house. And I need another career path. I'm not saying a completely separate career path. Well, I guess it's technically separate, but I need something else to do when I'm not doing YouTube. That's just me. You know, I have to have an excuse to get out of the house and breathe some fresh air. But then again, with all this shit stirring about in society right now, do you really want to leave your house? A couple of weeks ago, I was in a pretty good mood. And I was going to do a live stream, and there was a couple YouTube videos I've had on the to-do list for a very long time, and I wanted to make those. And then the Charlie Kirk thing happened, and then I watched the video of that. I watched every angle, and I don't want to bring the mood down too much. Trust me, we're going to have some fun. It's going to get lighthearted. Maybe I'll take my shirt off and smear some peanut butter on both of my nipples and get crazy. I don't know what's going to happen. And I will grab the party poppers momentarily. But before we dive into all of that, I watched that video probably 150 times. And I didn't want to. I wish I didn't. And it was so unsettling to me. And it gave me this cold, icky feeling inside, where I didn't want to associate with society or people or social media or the nonsense that comes with it. I just wanted to hibernate. And the truth is, if I had a nuclear fallout shelter 25 stories underground, sort of like at the very end of Terminator 3, the shitty movie where they recast John Connor because Edward Furlong was too busy doing heroin. Nice guy, but unfortunate. Never mind. I would have hibernated down in that nuclear fallout shelter until I felt like it was safe to come out. So that's where I've been for the last month. I'm sorry. Unlike your father, who many years ago went to the gas station to get a pack of smokes and a gallon of milk, I will always and forever come back. I won't leave you hanging, but sometimes I need a break. And I've said it once and I'll say it again. I make videos when I truly want to make videos because I can't stand being fake. I can't stand being disingenuous. And I don't want to be artificial. So just know when you see my stupid face, it's because I want to be here and there is no other place on this planet, no matter how seedy and decrepit it is, and corrupt, I will never leave you. Okay, so with all that said, let's talk about some movies. But first, let's crack open this caffeinated beverage, shall we? Oh yeah. Now this is the sweet flavor of Ghost Straw Bango, which is delicious. I quite enjoy it. So how are you guys doing? Thank you so much for joining me once again. And like I said, I know it's been about a month, but just know I'm back now. There's a lot of stuff I had to take care of, and I got the obligations out of the way, and now we can chill and hang out and talk about movies. The older I get, the harder it is for me to delegate multiple things. My brain hemispheres, I can only fire one side at a time. That's the problem with getting older. You need hyperfocus. So, and for some of you, maybe that's not good enough. And for that, I will now punish myself. I deserved that. Okay, let's talk about some movies. Let's talk about what you guys want to talk about. Get those questions in, and we'll dive into all of them in just a few seconds. But first, there's a few things I want to talk about. And the first thing we're going to talk about today is the movie The Long Walk, which will probably be in my top 10 movies of the year. I think it was one of the better theater experiences and one of the better movies I've seen in a very, very long time. I'm going to talk about that and give you guys sort of my quick review. I also have some new Blu-ray movies. I actually got all of these in the mail today. I know it's bizarre and crazy, but they all came in the mail today. So it was a pretty cool mail day. So I'm going to talk about all of these Blu-rays. And maybe, just maybe, if you stick around long enough, I will be doing a giveaway of some of these movies. So don't go anywhere. All right. So what do you guys say? We lay by the bay, make things out of clay. We just may. Okay. You know what's funny about that? I actually did get I have a Happy Gilmore jersey. Temu sent me this. It's for a sponsored video I'm working on. Maybe I'll put that on a little bit later. They sent me 5 hockey jerseys. I'm like, I don't talk about hockey. They're like, just put them on. I'm like, okay, sure, you got it, man. Whatever you want. All right, so before we dive into my quick review of The Long Walk, your questions, and some Blu-rays, I first want to give a big mention to the sponsor of this live stream. That's right, we're moving up in the world. We now have sponsors on live streams. Occasionally, we will. But I'm going to give a shout out to the brand new movie, The Senior, starring Michael Chiklis, you know, The Thing from Fantastic Four. And this movie, the thing I liked about it was it's a very heartfelt movie. It's a movie for everybody. It's a movie that families can go see. And it's a sports movie. And the thing I liked most about it was it's actually based on a true story. It's about a guy who's 59 years old. And one day he's like, you know what? I should have tried a little bit harder in college. I should have went for it. So what does he do at the age of 59? He goes back to college to play college football. That's right. And it's based on a true story, and it's pretty crazy. And when I was watching it, I was thinking to myself, I could not imagine being tackled by some college kid at 59 years old. Nowadays, whenever I sneeze or get out of bed too quick, I get sciatica for like a week straight. So anyway, big thanks to The Senior. I have a link down below if you guys want to get some movie tickets to check it out. I have a 20% off code, so use the link down below in the description. Let me give a quick mention to it here in this promo video. So check out The Senior, and then as soon as we come back, I'm going to talk all about The Long Walk, and then we'll dive into your questions. So don't you go anywhere. Do you want to see a great football movie? The Senior is an inspirational PG-rated true story about chasing unfinished dreams. The craziest thing about the movie The Senior is it's based on a true story of a 59-year-old going back to college to play football once again. I could not imagine being tackled being 60 years old. Whenever I sneeze, my lower back hurts. For football fans, it's gritty and authentic and captures the heart of the game, or if you just like a good sports movie. It's also a really good dad genre movie if you want to take your son to this movie. It has lessons about life and never giving up and resilience and all that fun stuff. And also there's football. The Senior isn't just another sports film, it's a crowd pleaser that balances hard-hitting football action with real-life drama. The Senior hits theaters September 19th. Okay, well, thanks for watching that. And once again, the link to The Senior is down below if you guys want to pick up some movie tickets at a discounted rate, 20% off, the link down below. Check the movie out. Okay, so let's talk about The Long Walk. Now, when it comes to movies, of late, there hasn't been many great movies, or at least great movies for me. I have not seen the new movie Him. which is another football movie that came out this week. At some point, I will get around to seeing it. I've heard it's sort of mediocre. Most people don't like it at all, and there's a few people who said they kind of enjoy it. So at some point, I will check it out. But the movie I quite enjoyed recently was The Long Walk, which is based on a Stephen King novel. Originally, when he wrote this in the 70s, he went by another name, and then later he admitted that he's the one who wrote the book, so that's sort of interesting. And I think it's so crazy. A movie like The Long Walk took 45 plus years, almost 50 years, from being a novel to being a live action film. Because when it comes to Stephen King novels, there's a million film adaptations. And there's some that I'm shocked that got made as soon as they did. Like, for example, and as much as I enjoy it, I just find it interesting that we got Maximum Overdrive, which is based on a Stephen King novel, before we got something a little bit more simplistic like The Long Walk. I mean, we got semis that came to life because a comet came too close to Earth and they became humanized and started killing people, before we got a movie about a dystopian futuristic apocalypse where kids just walk down the street, and if they slow down, well, they get executed. So, but when it comes to the concept of this movie, for me, I love pressure cooker movies. I love the longer the runtime goes on, the more hope and despair and just desperation and survival instincts kick in. I love movies like that. And this is like the ultimate pressure cooker movie. And I'd say it's probably one of my more enjoyable, or one of my more favorite recent Stephen King adaptations to a movie. I'm trying to think of another one that I've enjoyed. I mean, besides maybe the It Chapter 1 movie a couple years ago. It's been a while since I've seen a great adaptation of a Stephen King novel. And now he's supposedly canceled, so there's that. But let's just talk about the movie. Now, when it comes to some of his earlier movies, or earlier novels made into movies, I love them. A couple of my favorite movies of all time is Stand By Me, based on the novel The Body, The Shawshank Redemption. And the thing I most enjoyed about The Long Walk was it sort of has those qualities in the movie. You have that camaraderie that builds, and it stands the sort of the environment that they're in. I loved the two main leads in the movie, and they were played by what's their name? Let me see. I forgot their names. It exists somewhere, I'm sure. Okay, yeah, here it is. Ray Garrity is the main lead, and then he has his buddy, who is Peter McVries. And I liked their duo. It sort of reminded me of Stand By Me and The Shawshank Redemption. You know, in Shawshank, you had Andy Dufresne and Red, Morgan Freeman. And with all that said, my name is Morgan Freeman, and I liked the movie The Long Walk. Terrible impression, but I like that camaraderie. You know, you just have kids walking down the road, much like they were walking down the train tracks in Stand By Me. And that's sort of the type of movie I enjoy. I just like simplicity, and I like dialogue-driven movies, but when they still have a purpose and a destination to go. And the unfortunate thing about The Long Walk is if you slow down below 3 miles per hour, well, you are executed. Now, the reason that they do this is because it's a post-apocalyptic kind of dystopian time period. And I like that they still stuck to that late 1970s aesthetic and vibe, the simplicity of it, and the way that the movie looks and it was made, it sort of feels like an early 1980s movie. And the reason that they do this is they actually film this in the movie. And I guess they broadcast it nationwide. And in the movie, they don't really focus on that aspect too much. Like, they show one video camera on one of the tanks at one point, but that's about it. They more so just focus on the viewpoint of the participants in The Long Walk. And I sort of liked that. Unlike the Hunger Games, where it cuts back and forth to people watching the games, I like that they just focused on the characters on The Long Walk. And there are a few scenes in this movie where it gets pretty brutal. It doesn't hold back. And I really appreciated that. But once again, the two lead roles I thought were phenomenal. I think the The one lead was played by David Johnson. Is it Johnson or Johnson? And he was in Alien Romulus just recently. And he sort of has this accent. He almost reminds me of like a young Red from Shawshank Redemption almost. He sort of has that vibe. He sort of talks like this a little bit. You can barely understand everything he's saying, but I really enjoyed his character. I think that was like my favorite character of the entire movie. But man, great film. If you've not seen The Long Walk, highly recommend it. And I know that the ending to The Long Walk, the movie, was tweaked and twisted a little bit and changed from the novel. And I sort of liked it. I wish there was a bit more closure on it, but at the same time, I don't think that's the point. And my question to you is, if you could have any wish, if you won The Long Walk, would you participate in The Long Walk? I could not do it. I sometimes walk around my neighborhood. I do like a lap around the block, and my ass is sore by the time I get back. There's no way I could walk for 5 days straight. And the other aspect about the movie I really enjoyed was they are able to get micro doses of sleep as they're walking, which is actually scientifically like proven that you can do that, which is kind of scary and bizarre at the same time that the human body's capable of that. But once again, really enjoyed The Long Walk. Could not recommend it enough. Probably most definitely in my top 10 of the year. All right, guys, I'm here. We got Murph in the house. My body is ready. We got Zeroed 77, About Time. We got Tyler, Let's Go. Gillian LaBelle, I Would Be Dead. And it's also directed by Francis Lawrence, who directed all the Hunger Games movies. So it sort of has that tone and vibe. And, he already handled teenagers battling to the death. So I think it was a pretty good director for the movie. It made sense. All right. Let's dive into some of these questions here. And the first one, actually, you know what? We have a few things to talk about first. Then we're going to get to the questions. So feel free to keep getting your questions in. We're going to get there, I promise. I wanted to talk about some new Blu-rays I got today. And the first one is this right here. Check out this lenticular... Oh, I'm just a reporter that actually has no interest in journalism, and I don't really talk about journalism, and I don't really write too many articles. But hey, it's Superman! Now, this is the 4K. I'm really looking forward to watching this at home on 4K. I've seen this movie a few times. I saw it once in theaters, and then I saw it at the drive-in, and I'm ready to watch it at home. And the more time that goes on with the movie Superman, the less impact I feel like this movie has overall on me. Did Superman impact you at all? Did it make you feel something? Or did it just feel sort of like a slightly entertaining yet forgettable comic book movie? The way I would summarize Superman is sort of the same way I would sum up the Flash movie that we got a couple years ago. I sort of like it. I think it's a fun rainy day movie to watch. And it's easy to just eat pizza as you watch it at home in your underwear. And that's sort of how I feel about Superman. This isn't some pivotal, groundbreaking comic book movie that I feel like people are probably going to talk about in 25 years. I really don't feel it had that much impact in the zeitgeist. At the time, it was the hottest thing of the summer. But a few months removed, it's like... I don't feel like most people... I don't think this resonated with people as much as I think they were hoping it would. And I feel the same way. So anyway, really cool lenticular cover. I hope it looks cool on 4K. I can't wait to check it out. The next thing I have here is 28 Years Later. And this movie for me was sort of hit or miss. There's a lot that I enjoyed about the movie, but there were definitely some creative choices that they made where I'm like, it was a bit questionable, especially that 12-inch man dong just swinging at you. I don't care if there was a giant 7.5-foot, 400-pound, muscular, vascular zombie running at me. Okay, I can deal with that. But if his man meat is swinging back and forth, that I don't know what to do with. I'm not afraid of being bitten and being infected to become a zombie. No. What is that barbaric monstrosity going to do to me? That's my biggest fear. But I liked it. Like, that's not even a negative. I think that's a positive when it comes to the movie. It was terrifying. But the end of the movie, some interesting creative choices were made. I'm curious to see how those pan out in the part 2 coming this January, which I'm looking forward to. But yeah, 28 years later, I have the Blu-ray right here. And because I like you guys, after the live stream is over, stick around and make sure you leave a comment on the live stream that gets uploaded after we go live. So after the live stream is over and it gets processed and it's uploaded to YouTube, leave a comment under that video and just tell me why you want 28 years later. And I'll pick a winner next week on the next live stream. The next one I have here is a steelbook of Silverado starring Kevin Costner. This is a Western movie I don't think I've ever sat down and truly watched. And I watched the trailer for this movie today, and I was like, I don't think I've seen this movie. So I, at some point, need to go back and revisit this. It was definitely never one of my favorite Westerns, but I need to check this out. But really cool steelbook, nevertheless. Really cool. Got all the dudes on the horses riding around. Looks sweet. But you know what it is? For me, when it comes to steelbooks, I like to leave them in the plastic all nice and protected. You know, it's like going on a Tinder date. You always keep it wrapped up just in case, you know. And then last but certainly least, I will be giving this away as well. And maybe somebody wants this. Maybe you really liked it, and it sort of matches my Ninja Turtle shirt for the night. It's Megan 2.0. This was a flop, to say the least. They did everything in this movie they should not have done with the IP. Can you focus? All right. They did everything they shouldn't have with this movie. Now, this is the Blu-ray right here. I mean, it's a cool, you know, slipcover, what have you. I watched this in theaters, and I did not like this movie at all. They sort of got rid of the horror elements of the movie and focused on like a sort of like a parody satire action movie where Megan is now just like a Steven Seagal type character, and then they humanized her a little bit too much, and I think that was like a disservice and a detriment to the character Megan. Like, people like the doll version of Megan. That's kind of cool. When you go to horror nights at Universal Studios, that's what you want to see. You don't want to see the humanized android version of her. No, get that. We want to see like the little creepy doll version, you know? So this movie was a complete misfire. I don't know why they did this. Like, they had a great IP people were into, and they bastardized it. They patented it. They packaged it, and they sold it. And they sold it. And they never once stopped asking themselves, just because you can doesn't mean you should. So I will be giving this away as well. So make sure you stick around until after the live stream gets processed and uploaded. Leave a comment. Tell me why you want Megan 2.0. If you say you want to flush it down the toilet, that might be a good enough reason for me. So there's that. All right. So that's all the topics I wanted to talk about today. Let's dive into your questions. And with all that said, welcome back. All right. So the first one we have here comes from Mark Hickey, who says, let's see Paul Allen's home inspector card. Would you want a guy like me inside your house, criticizing it, critiquing it, looking at every nook and crevice? But I will say this. The interesting thing about that job is the same way I review movies, and some people say I'm a bit too negative at times. I'm not negative. I just see all the angles. I see all the ups and all the downs. I see the flaws. And that's a really good thing when you're doing home inspections. It's a good thing to nitpick all the flaws. So sort of an interesting career path that kind of works out for me. But thanks for the question, man. Does it have a watermark? No, but it has a water stain. I'm going to put that in the report. The next one comes from James Dozier, who has been a member for 46 glorious months. Thank you, James, so much for the dedication. Thank you, man. And then we have P. Addy Diddy, who has a question here, who says, imagine your muscly arms wrapped around me. I'll let you do all the imagining you want, but I have been working out. I've been to the gym a few times this month. Let me get the biceps warmed up. Get the juices flowing. You ready for it? You ready for it? I'm just saying. It's coming back, slowly but surely. And I've been drinking protein shakes. I've been on a diet. I'm not going to lie to you. I was starting to get sort of a middle-aged pot belly. It's weird. The older you get, your belly just starts distending like a, I don't know. I was going to say like a chimpanzee. Do they have distended bellies? I don't know. A baboon. I think their bellies are distended. I'll just shut up now and go to the next question. Rocky90 says, congrats on the new job. Well, thanks, man. Yeah, it's I just wanted something a bit more practical in life. And the thing is, when I know I have something practical outside of YouTube, which exists only in the digital realm, to me, that just evens me out. You know, it just gives me an excuse to get out of the house and become less stir crazy. Gilliam LaBelle says, just made a pepperoni pizza, keeping you a slice. Oh, put a little crushed red peppers on that and save it for me. I like my pizza room temperature. I don't like it fresh out of the oven. It's too hot. I don't like it. I like when the cheese congeals. It tastes better. And that's the other thing about food. I like reheated food more than fresh food. I feel like once it just gets to set down and relax for a little bit, all the flavors rise to the surface and it tastes better. Don't say I never try to tell you anything. The next one comes from Sal, who says, hey, John, it's great to have you back. Well, thanks, man. Thanks. I just needed a break. And like I said, I wanted to come back every week, but my brain was somewhere else. And then the world sort of went crazy a couple weeks ago, and it just didn't feel like the right time or place. You know, I needed to reflect. I needed to disassociate. And there's sometimes, and lately, I've been doing this a lot more. I just cannot stand to look at social media. I can't stand it. I can't take it. It just feels like digital noise. It feels like strobe lights flashing in my eyeballs. And once it's over, you think to yourself, did I get anything out of that? And the answer is no, you did not. So I just like to go out in my backyard and stare up at the stars. And I think, wow, what is this simulation that we live in? Okay, the next one comes from Bill Prasky Jr. How's it going, Bill? Hey, John. Thanks to you, every time my 6-year-old son goes into Walmart, he has to smell the bike tires. I've been watching you since you were driving around Ohio saying how a girl went to high school with you worked at the strip club you were pointing at. It is true. It is true. But if you met her in high school, it's probably not, it wasn't shocking. But I hope she's doing well. That strip club closed down many years ago. I think because they used to serve food and there were too many complaints about glitter in the food. Anyway, thank you for the question. And that's so, the smell of bike tires, I still stand by it. You know, it's funny, today I cleaned my car and I was spraying the tire shine on the wheels of my car, and just something about the smell of hot rubber turns me on. So thanks for the question, Bill. All right. There, we got a little on the camera there. There we go. All right. Let's go to the next one here. Clark Ingleton says, good morning, John. How you doing today? I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys doing? It was a busy day. I did some running around. I had some obligations. There was a lot of stuff I had to catch up on. And the other thing, since I was sort of avoiding reality, or at least the YouTube side of reality, I had to go back through my emails today. And there was like 690 emails I had to go through. And keep in mind, some of those are just junky spam emails that don't matter. But that was fun. So I spent like 5 hours doing that. And I was like, you know what? We need to do a live stream today, because I'm not going to feel like I'm back unless we do a live stream. So that's how I'm doing today. And hey, how are you guys doing today? If you guys want to in the normal chat, please let me know how you guys are doing, where you guys are watching from. You don't need your full address, just your social security number, your blood type, and your zodiac sign, please. You can personally email me your credit card numbers later. Thank you. All right, the next one. The next one comes from James Doshier. How's it going, James? Good to see you back here, man. Hey, John. I went to Universal Studios in Hollywood last month with my sister for the first time, and it was cool. Have you ever been? Super Nintendo World is very cool. You know, I've been meaning to go to Epic Universe since it opened in May, and we were going to go for our 1-year anniversary. That's right. I will have been married for 1 year this October 12th, which is sort of weird. I never thought a guy like me would settle down, but here we are. But we were planning on doing sort of like a honeymoon there, and we just didn't have the time to do it. But I do want to go to Epic Universe. Now, as far as Universal Studios go and Islands of Adventure, I've been there a couple times. The last time I went to Islands of Adventure, Reebok sponsored me with their Jurassic World shoes. So I was able to go there and wear the cool Jurassic World shoes that look like the literal Jeep from the movie. I have some pictures on Instagram of, maybe I can find it. I can show you what I'm talking about here. But that was the last time I went there. But I love Universal Studios. I love it with a passion. One of my favorite rides there is the E.T. ride, which is like the oldest ride in the park, which originally opened like a year or two after the movie came out, or maybe the same year the movie came out, so in the early 80s. But I love how it has that retro vibe where it's all practicality and analog, where if you've never been on the E.T. ride at Universal Studios, the line to get into the ride, you go through like the forest, and there's all these huge huge trees, and there's like fog and mist, and it has like a certain smell in the air. It's a little bit moldy, but I sort of like it. And then you get on the bike, like you're Elliot, and E.T.'s on the front, and he pops out, and then you're flying over all these little miniatures in the city. Just watch it on YouTube. It's a truly magical experience, but I loved it. Jurassic. Yeah, I can't find it. Sorry. But anyway, I went there and I had some really cool Jurassic Park shoes, but I love Universal Studios. I would like to go back. I heard Epic Universe is pretty awesome. I would like to check out the Dark Universe side of things. Unfortunately, I heard someone just passed away riding the Celestial twin dueling coaster there. I don't know what happened. I don't know if they had like a brain hemorrhage or something, but yeah. So there's that on a downside. The next one comes from Dalton Cobb, who says, "Hey John, glad you're doing well. Going to Italy next week. Hey man, Arrivi Dircia. Is that an Italian word? I don't think it was. Rigatoni, mozzarella. Arrivi Dirci? Is that? I don't know Italian. I sound like a fool right now. But anyway, speaking of Italy, you know what's funny? I watched the second season of White Lotus. I had never seen it. We watched the second season like a month ago, which takes place in Italy. It kind of made me want to go to Italy. So have fun, man. I would love to go to Italy. I would like to go to Rome, most importantly. I'd like to go to Rome and check out the Colosseum. At some point, that's on my bucket list to do. So have a good time in Italy. All right. The next one comes from Arrivederci. I just sound like a dumbass. Let's go to the next one here. All right. The next one comes from James Doshier, once again, who says, "Will you see the upcoming Super Mario Galaxy movie coming out next year?" Yeah, I'll check it out. When it comes to the first one, I thought it was fine. Yeah, Jack Black doing the voice of Bowser and Chris Pratt doing the voice of Mario. Speaking of Italy, nothing says Italian more than Chris Pratt. Am I right? Okay. And Charlie Day's Luigi. Oh my God, I'm Charlie Day. What are we going to do? I'll check it out. All right, we got one here from Cody Gill who says, Toy Story review for its 30th anniversary. Maybe I'll try to do that. I would like to. I know it's coming back out. I want to watch it again, actually, on Blu-ray. But I don't know if I'll do a dedicated review, but when it comes to Toy Story, I love it. That is still my go-to, one of my childhood favorite movies. It came out in 95, and I still vividly remember going to see it in theaters for the first time. And those since 1995, Pixar's animation has become way more detailed and photorealistic, but I like the simplicity of Toy Story. Something about that simplicity without it being overly detailed or overly textured. It's like, this is good enough. This is like what my sensibilities want and need to remind me of a simpler time in my childhood. I like it quite a bit. So yeah, isn't the 30th anniversary, is that this week? Is it next week? There's a lot of stuff we need to talk about next week. There's some movies I've seen that I definitely need to talk about, and I think you guys are going to want to hear some thoughts on those movies as well. Nobia says, I was watching 22 Jump Street the other day. There's a snake in my boots. Someone poisoned the water hole. That's not the question. I was watching 22 Jump Street the other day, and I said to myself, this rooster guy reminds me of Jim Flickinger. Love your videos, man. Love from Sydney. What were you watching? Oh, the 22 Jump Street guy. I know who you're talking about. He was a YouTuber. The guy, Jimmy Tatro? Is that who you're talking about? Yeah, I used to hear that a lot. We're talking about this guy right here. I mean, yeah, that kind of definitely, well, that's Channing Tatum. I'd give my left testicle to look like Channing Tatum. But yeah, I got some of those comparisons from this guy back in my workout days. Yeah, I can kind of see it a little bit. Let me know. All right, the next one comes from, but thank you for that. Avocado Balls Johnson. It wouldn't be a live stream without saying Avocado Balls Johnson, would it? No, it would not. Okay. Have you seen Alien Earth? The xenomorph looks like a guy wearing a rubber Halloween suit from the dollar store. The whole thing looks so cheap. You know what? I watched 7 minutes of the first episode, and I wanted to get into it. And the thing is, after like 3 or 4 episodes came out, or maybe it was 2, I don't know. I'm just making up numbers at this point. But stick with me. There was no conversation anywhere positively talking about the movie. Like, you heard some people saying, it's okay, it's a little bit slow, but no one was like, you gotta watch it, you gotta see it. And that's really unfortunate to me. I was hoping that we'd get a really good Alien prequel series that would be mind-blowing and epic, because this thing has been in the works for like 15 years, it feels like. So it's sort of sad to see that it's somewhat underwhelming. It makes you wonder why a bigger studio, or they don't pump more money into something like this. It's like you have the Alien franchise at your fingertips. And it's owned by Disney now, so money is no object. So, I don't know. Do you guys like the Alien series? Let me know. I only watched like a couple minutes of the first episode. It looked okay. I can tell it was going to be a slow burn, but I didn't know if it was going to be worth my time. But I'll tell you one show I recently started to get into, and I completed the first season. It's nothing new. It came out like 5 years ago, but it was Euphoria. And I finally got around to watching it. And it's one of those shows where I was like, why didn't I watch this sooner? I really enjoy it. It's kind of dark and seedy, and it has like a dark comedy element that I like. And the one dude, Nate, or is it? Yeah, it's Nate. He reminds me of Patrick Bateman because he's sort of a sociopath. I liked it. I quite enjoyed that. All right. Jack Lame says, do you like Lou Sassel? Lou Sasso? You mean the guy from Mad TV? Who's Lou Sassel? Who is Lou Sassel? I even Googled it. Who the I don't know who Lou Sassel is. I'm sorry. But yeah, he's a great guy. I don't know who it is. Peppa T says, John, you're an inspiration. Well, thank you. I don't try to inspire, but if I accidentally did it, I will take credit. So you're welcome. Well, thank you for that. Ty Guy says, did I donate to the right spot? Ty Guy, I don't know. I don't see anything yet. The link is above, man. I don't know. I'll see if it pops up here momentarily. All right. Murph says, I like Alien Earth. I think it's the best thing to happen to the franchise since Prometheus. Interesting. Enjoying Alien Earth, but it's a bit slow. Fair enough. Dustin Rich says, I've already seen a Shelby Oaks review. When can we expect yours? So I have seen the movie. I'm going to talk about it on the next live stream, but here's a sneak peek. I think it's really cool what Stuckman was able to do. He did reach out to me. He did invite me to the LA premiere of the movie next week. Unfortunately, it's in LA and it's like 2,000 miles away, so I'm not going to make it, but I think it's cool that he got a few $1 million and the movie got picked up by Neon. I think that's insane. Especially when it's a guy that used to sleep on my couch and I slept on his couch and on his floor and we used to giggle like little girls drinking hard lemonades, talking about Batman v Superman in his basement. I think that's really cool. The movie itself, I think there are some good scenes. And I feel like Stuckman did a good job with his cinematography. I think some of his direction was on par. I think some of the performances, like the lead performance, definitely sort of reminds me of Toni Collette from Hereditary. And I definitely picked up on what he was putting down. I could tell the movie was inspired by a handful of other movies. And I will say sometimes it was a little derivative, but I would say narratively, it feels a bit clunky. How we get from point A to point B to point C. How did this happen? Why did we get here? What was the outcome of this scene supposed to be? And I'm sure some of those issues stem from budgetary constraints, time issues. I get it. I understand. I'm sure it was very difficult to make a movie the first time out. But it definitely feels like there's bits and pieces in there where I can tell like that's the scene that he wanted to shoot and that's how he wanted it to look. But then you have to transition and connect the story elements. And that's where I think it falters a little bit. I'll save my in-depth reviews for a review, but those are my quick thoughts on the movie. There's more things I want to talk about. But there's some really cool scenes. And there's one that definitely reminded me of the scene in The Ring. The movie sort of reminds me of The Ring meets Hereditary. That's the best way I could summarize it right now. So those are my quick thoughts, but I will do a review for it. And I will definitely talk about it on the next live stream. I promise you. I will talk about it explicitly on the next live stream. I'm just sort of waiting for everybody to see it at Fantastic Fest this week. All right. Let's go to the next one here. Okay, sorry. Did we ever figure out who Lou Sassel is? Okay. The next one comes from Gorilla Beach. How's it going, man? No question. Just glad you are back and congrats on the home inspector exam. Long walk. Not released here until the 1st of October, so long wait. Oh, really? I guess, yeah, I forgot that it wasn't released globally yet. Interesting. Okay, so I can justify actually clipping out that segment and posting a dedicated review of it. Cool. All right, that makes me feel better. But yeah, you'll enjoy it once you check it out, or at least I hope you do. But thank you for that, man. Thank you so much. The Dark Mike says, what are your thoughts on Magnolia? Paul Thomas Anderson, are you excited for one battle after another? I've heard that movie is fucking phenomenal. So I am looking forward to it. I will say the trailers for it didn't do much for me. I knew Paul Thomas Anderson usually does not disappoint. And even if he does disappoint, you still get like a really visceral, weird movie that's enjoyable to some degree. For me, it's always been Boogie Nights, just putting it out there. But hey, Jack, I've been thinking a lot about my name lately. And every time I close my eyes, I see these bright, shiny neon letters. And they get brighter and brighter until they explode. Anyway, what was the question? Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to that movie. Magnolia, I have watched once. Definitely a weird movie. A really fun Tom Cruise character performance. If you want to wet your muffin and wet her duck, buy my book. He's like a douchebag who sells like pickup tips on how to get girls. He has like a shitty haircut. Anyway, then at one point in the movie, it starts raining frogs. I don't remember the exact narrative of the movie and what it was about, but I did watch it once, and that's about all I remember. Great question here. We got one from Ryman6000. Are you going to WrestlePalooza, John? Oh, you bet your sweet ass I am, and that's if you smell what the flick pick is drinking. Yeah, I am going to WrestlePalooza tomorrow. I only had to max out my credit card to get tickets. Oh my God, it would have been cheaper to go to Disney World for 3 days. But anyway, I am going to WrestlePalooza tomorrow in Indianapolis, so if you guys are going, you see me, give me a high five, say hi, please do. I will be wearing a bright neon yellow John Cena shirt. So, but I am going to WrestlePalooza tomorrow in Indianapolis. Really looking forward to it. It sort of feels like a mini WrestleMania, and I couldn't miss it. You know, I'm a hardcore fanatic. I'm a nerd when it comes to WWE. I love movies and I love pro wrestling. It's kind of like right there on the same plane. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be there tomorrow. Are you guys going to WrestlePalooza in Indianapolis tomorrow? Let me know. Should be cool. I'm hoping something big happens. Maybe The Rock will show up. I don't know. Maybe Brock Lesnar will pee on someone. Who knows? All right. A Mark Wahlberg impression from The Happening. Well, I can't even remember what he says in The Happening. What about science? I don't remember what he says. What's a line from The Happening? I always like delete that movie from my brain. I'm like, I only have so much space in my recycling bin. I have to get rid of shit. Okay, the next one comes from Sebastian Hamdom, who says, God bless you, John, and God bless your family. Well, thank you for that, man. Thank you. Thank you so much. Night King 01, how's it going, Night King? I missed you, man. I missed you. Where is your brother in here? Okay, I see Night King 01. Where's your brother at? He better be in here. Okay. Anyway, here it goes. Watching the first episode of Peacemaker Season 2 after the Superman movie really puts into perspective how tone deaf the new DC universe is. I'm getting tired of this James Gunn humor, and I'm sad that he clearly cares more about this than Superman. Yeah, the thing is, I get having levity in your comic book movies. Not everything has to be the Dark Knight. I understand that, and I'm okay with that. But for me, the ultimate balancing act when it comes to like levity and comic book is something like Marvel has done throughout their movies. Not all of them. There's a lot of shitty Marvel movies that just suck and blow, okay? Let's be honest with ourselves first and foremost. But there's also a lot of great ones that balance the tone and the action. And it's like you can have some fun, you can have some comic book levity, but you can also take it serious when it needs to. And for some odd reason, James Gunn, when he touches a DC property, he just, like, the balance is off. It's skewed. It's like the comedy takes over and the drama sort of takes a back seat. Just a little bit. And I wish he could copy and paste that exact same formula and tone that he brought to Guardians of the Galaxy. And maybe it's because he had less creative control. Maybe there were more people he had to answer to with those movies at Marvel, and that could be. I don't know, but it seems like every time he gets complete creative control, it gets a little bit heavy-handed, right? It's a little bit self-indulgent. Like a lot of people like his Suicide Squad movie that came out in 2021. You know, that's how I feel about it. So, you know, I don't want to crap on the new Superman movie. I think it's fine. I gave it a positive grade and review. And at the time, a lot of people were like, unless you give it an A+, you are the Antichrist and I hope you die. But I think after a few months, emotions, as they typically do, when people are feeling very hostile when it comes to a product made by a corporation, and let's all keep in mind, that's what this movie is. It's a product made by a corporation for your consumption. But that doesn't mean it can't be fun. I feel like a lot of people have calmed down on this movie and they're like, yeah, it was okay. Or at least that's how I feel about it. So yeah, I'm with you on James Gunn. I think James Gunn, when he can bounce his ideas off someone else and they get filtered just a little bit, where someone says, you know what, that's a great idea, but how about we tweak it just a little bit? I think that's the kind of collaboration that makes for a great James Gunn movie for me. Okay, the next one comes from Gilliam LaBelle, who says, thoughts on Naked Gun 2025. Laughed my ass off. Yeah, that was, yeah, I did see that like a month ago. Dude, time has been flying. The other thing is, and by the way, thanks to everybody watching right now. I do appreciate it. I do notice all 225 of you beautiful people watching right now. I do. And it does make my heart feel warm and fuzzy inside. It feels so good. Ha ha ha. But yeah, Naked Gun was cool. I liked Naked Gun. I think when it comes to remaking an IP from the 1990s, where you have like a slapstick comedic tone, I thought it got it right. If you were a fan of the original Naked Gun with Leslie Nielsen, I don't know how you could enjoy the new Liam Neeson one. Like, it didn't pull its punches. It was the exact kind of slapstick humor it was supposed to be. I laughed a handful of times. I liked the OJ jokes. And I thought Liam Neeson was a good replacement for the new Naked Gun movie. So I liked it. Would I go back and ever rewatch it? Probably not. But I think it was a worthy predecessor with the Naked Gun name attached to it. So if they were to make another one, I could see that happening. You know, it probably might go to like Amazon Prime or something, but I'd check it out. Greg Harris says, did you hear about Billy from the Game Chasers? So sad. I know Billy enjoyed your channel. No, what? No, what happened to Billy from Game Chasers? Somebody let me know what happened to Billy from Game Chasers. I'd occasionally check out their videos and their live streams and stuff. What happened to Billy from Game Chasers, man? What happened? Somebody let me know. Huh. Yeah, let me know what happened to him. Okay, the next one comes from Frederick LeBrun, who says, hey, John. Good to have you back. What is your most anticipated movie of 2026? Mine is Clayface. I absolutely cannot wait for it. Holy shit, he died of brain cancer? Fuck. Oh, that sucks, man. Well, shit. That's what I'm saying. There's something about the last 3 weeks that have been, there's been so many lows happening, and that sucks. Well, you know, I hope he's, shit. I feel sorry for his family, man. I didn't know he even had brain cancer. That's terrifying. He passed away yesterday. Oh, shit, man. Well, rest in peace, Billy, man. Oh, my God. I don't know how to segue from that, to be honest with you, man. That sucks. That sucks, man. I get depressed in September, and that did not add to it. You know, I've lost some family members in September, and it always just like puts me in a weird place, and too much shit has happened this month. So that sucks. Well, rest in peace, man. All right. Well, how do I segue from that? Dustin Rich says, I love you, John, but I need to get food and nicotine ASAP. I'll watch the stream later, though. Well, thanks. No worries, man. Go eat McDonald's McDouble and smoke a cigarette at the same time and check out the replay later. So thanks for watching, man. All right. That sucks, man. Damn. Okay. Let's go to the next one here. We'll try to pick up the mood a little bit. The next one comes from rest in peace, Billy, man. Damn. All right. Frederick LeBrun. I don't like hearing that stuff during a live stream. I do not like it. That throws me off a little bit. That sucks. All right. Frederick LeBrun says, hey, John. Good to have you back. What's your most anticipated movie of 2020? Okay, with the Clayface question here. I'm looking forward to Clayface. I like a good character study. Clearly DC, they can do that occasionally when they don't turn their character study into a musical. I'm talking to you, Joker 2, you piece of shit. But anyway, let's back up. Let's back way up. If they keep it in the same tone like the first Joker movie, and maybe they steal the blueprint to another character study film like Taxi Driver, much like Joker did, they'll probably have a solid movie on their hands. And I could see a movie like Clayface doing very, very well. You have this disgruntled actor who can't get a gig, who has body dysmorphia issues, and they manipulate their face, and I envision the scene in Batman 1989 when Jack Nicholson's Joker goes into that basement plastic surgeon's office, and you just see all the scalpels on the table, and his face is all disfigured. I imagine something like that, and if they can do that, I would applaud it. Gorilla Beach says, John, we need a rant on caught stealing with your friend Austin Butler. Yeah, I forgot I saw Caught Stealing, and that was another point I wanted to make before I was thrown off there earlier. Oh man, I need my dopamine levels to pick back up here. Okay. This one goes out to Billy. So I did see Caught Stealing about a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, but who's counting? And I will say this, when it comes to the movie Caught Stealing, this was a Darren Aronofsky movie, and I like most of his movies. I don't like all of them. Like Mother and the biblical movies of his, I'm not a big fan of. But I quite enjoy and would say I almost love The Wrestler. Requiem for a Dream is a phenomenal time. Black Swan, I liked it. But the thing when it comes to Caught Stealing, starring Austin Butler, and you guys know I'm not a huge fan of Austin Butler, but in Caught Stealing, I did like his character. That's the type of character I like to see him play. He sort of plays an everyday guy who's sort of a fuck up, and he's just a dude that works at a bar who's caught in this situation, right? And I thought the first act to Caught Stealing was interesting. I liked the time period. It took place in the late 1990s, and it was simple, and I sort of liked where it was going. I was like, okay, this can be a good time. And then as soon as the plot starts unraveling more and more, you realize there's not much here. And I really didn't like what they did with the characters. There's one point in the film with Zoe Kravitz's character where they do something where they do something to the point where it just took me out of the movie. I'm like, okay, I'm done now. I don't care. You can't save it anymore. There's no saving grace. There's no silver lining to this situation. It's like you want to be a comedy with some like dark humor here and there with some drama, but it's like you just completely ripped out the comedy of this movie and now it's just like a bad drama. That's the best way I can describe Caught Stealing. Because after the first act, you could just turn the movie off because you're not going to get anything out of it. So I thought it progressively got worse as it continued on. The plot just became more convoluted and stupid. And it's just like, okay, the character has to go here. Now he has to go here. He has to go here. Why is he doing all of this? Why doesn't he just leave town? I don't know. And like I said, going back to a certain character, once you realize their outcome of the story, you go, why is anyone even trying anymore? What is, like, you can't save the day. What are you going to do now, man? So, yeah, I was not a fan of the movie. I'd give it like a D+. There's your rant. I almost liked Austin Butler, but then I hated the movie that he was in. Chip Whitley says, take an edible, John. Dude, that just makes me more paranoid. I'm not going to lie to you. I become so self-aware that I'm just like, I can hear the walls talking to me. Confetti says, the Bike Riders seems kind of mid too. I was not a fan of Bike Riders either. And I wanted to like it, man. A movie about like the Hells Angels and Tom Hardy just doing another accent where you can't comprehend anything he's saying. Well, you know, like, what the fuck? Tom Hardy, get that shit out of your mouth so we can hear what you're saying. God, people want to talk about the audio mixing of Bane and The Dark Knight Rises for the reason you can't understand what he's saying. No, that's just fucking Tom Hardy, okay? He talks with cotton balls in his mouth. All right, let's go. I love the guy. I love me some Tom Hardy. Don't get me wrong. I'm just putting it out there. Can you disagree with that? I don't think you can, objectively speaking. Okay, the next one comes from Cool Keyboard Commando says, hey, John, it's 2025 and we still not unalive Coop, huh? What? Hey, John, it's 2025 and we still not unalive Coop, huh? Who's Coop? Who's Coop? I don't know. Dude, too many people are being unalived. I hate that TikTok bullshit term. Just say dead. Stranger's Age. I don't know who you're referencing. I'm sorry. Been watching for almost 13 years, man. Wild. Thanks for talking to us nerds tonight. You doing well? I'm doing as well as I think we all can. I have a dark, beautiful musical for you and your wife, The Phantom of the Opera, starring Gerard Butler. You'd be obsessed with the plot and songs. I would like to check it out. Please tell me more. Is that the thing? Gerard Butler? Is he in the... I forgot they were making this. Or did they make this? Oh, it's 2004. I'm stupid. I thought they were making a new Phantom of the Opera movie. I've never seen this. I've never seen Phantom. I know the story Phantom of the Opera. I just never seen the 2004 movie. I'll tell you the one Phantom of the Opera rendition I have seen, and that is the Wishbone Phantom of the Opera. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? You don't? Oh, that's right. You don't? Okay, here we go. If you do, hang on. Wishbone Phantom of the Opera. This is what I remember from Phantom of the Opera. This is where I got my education in Phantom of the Opera. Wishbone the dog, the after school special where he played like Sherlock Holmes and shit and solved things. But yeah, wasn't there a Phantom of the Opera? Yeah, Panton at the Opera. Here it is. I loved Wishbone. A narration with a dog with like a British accent. Oh, that is a series that needs to come back and be rebooted. Listen, with all the shows being canceled right now, here's what I want. I want a limited series, $500 million budgeted Wishbone series on Netflix. Or, you know what? Actually, that makes no sense. Put it on Disney Plus. Because all the other junk they put on there that no one watches, that they spent $400 million on, make a Wishbone limited series. I'm telling you right now, that is what society needs, and that is what society wants. I know I do. What do you guys say, huh? Should we bring Wishbone back? I think we should. God, thank you for unlocking that memory. And Reading Rainbow. Reading Rainbow. I never really watched the show, but I liked the intro. Kind of like Captain Planet. Like, I never watched Captain Planet, but I watched the shit out of the intro. Okay, the next one comes from Wilson, who says, "Hey, John, please tell me you're attending WrestlePalooza. I need you to yeet for all of us live on live television, preferably over Cena versus Lesnar." So I will be there. I will be yeeting. And hey, here's the other cool thing. I specifically stayed up all night so I could buy tickets when they came online like 3 weeks ago. So I'm hoping this happens. If you're a wrestling nerd, maybe you'll know what I'm talking about. If you're not, I just sound crazy. But when Jey Uso enters the arena, he comes down the stairs, right? He enters through the crowd. And where my seats are going, and if he enters where he typically does, my seats will be right there at the entrance where he comes out of the tunnel down the steps for the crowd. My seats are literally right there. So look out for a douchebag in a yellow shirt yeeting. Okay? And if you see me, please screenshot it and let me know. But yeah, I'll be there, man. I'm looking forward to it. There's nothing more fun and enjoyable than a live wrestling event. I mean that. It's like live action athleticism with like a production of a play. You know, I love it. It's my version of Phantom of the Opera. Jesus Salcido, how's it going? Imagine all the people traumatized seeing Charlie die in front of them. It's unreal he died without even knowing what happened. It's terrifying. You know, your central nervous system, it would just be a just instantaneous just bolt of light that hits you and you're done. You're just done. And I don't want to get too deep. You know, it's not my place. I'm just a dude who wears a fucking Ninja Turtle shirt and talks about movies on the internet occasionally, okay? I don't want to get too deep on you or philosophical, but it is terrifying to me that we live in a society, and we always have lived in a society where when people can't take someone else's opinion, rather than just turn the volume down or change the channel or unsubscribe or just keep scrolling on their feed, they feel the need to act with violence to shut someone down. And to me, that's terrifying. That is the scariest thing that exists. And it makes you wonder, like, that was a political side of things, but like as a dude who talks about movies, what if someone doesn't like my opinion one day, you know, and they're just like, nope, he didn't like Superman as much as me. It's kind of scary. It's unsettling. It really is. And part of that is the reason I just want to hunker down in a nuclear silo 25 stories underground where I can just stay away from people, stay away from crazies, and just stay down there and be a hermit and watch my Blu-ray movies and occasionally do a live stream. That's where I want to be. That's why I'm distancing myself from social media. It's just, I don't like interacting with it too much. I don't like it. So anyway, those are my thoughts on it. And yeah, man, it's surreal, isn't it? It's kind of scary. You realize just how fragile we really are as people and humans. You know, it doesn't take much. And it's all over in just a microsecond. Just boop. You don't exist anymore. Terrifying stuff. Andrew Gordon says, good to see you back, John. Hope life's treating you well and keep up the great work. Listening to you is a great escape in this thing we call life. Well, thank you, man. And as much as you enjoy listening to it, that's as much as what am I saying here, John? Get these words out of your stupid mouth because you sound like a fool. As much as you like watching, I like making the content for live streams. It's therapeutic to me as well. You know, sometimes it's nice to release the stream of thoughts that have been bottling up inside of my melon for 3 or 4 weeks. So it is therapeutic to me as well. So thank you for that. Thank you so much. Skylar Wheelock says, I missed you, John. Have you seen One Battle After Another yet? I have not. It comes out this week, right? It's not even out yet. What makes Leonardo DiCaprio's film career stand out so much across multiple decades? You know the thing with Leo, and I've put a lot of thought into this. Actually, I put no thought into this, and that was a blatant lie. But just hear me out for 1 second as I blabber on. 3, 2, 1, here we go. It all started with Gilbert Grape. Hey, Ani! And I loved it. He did a performance of a lifetime at a very young age. He went from Growing Pains to that, and then he went to the Basketball Diaries, where he was sucking dick for coke. Okay? Actually, I think it was crack. That's a great movie as well. And then he transitioned into like a heartthrob in the 90s. He was in Titanic. Then he was in the Beach. And then he got into more serious roles. And the thing with Leo, he has evolved with his age and his roles as he should have accordingly. And there's something about the dude. I find him captivating. Like for me, when I watch Leonardo DiCaprio's performances, for me, if I was an actor, I'm like, you know what? I think that's how I would have done it too. Like, I think that's a good take on it. Like, one of my favorite Leo performances of all time is in Django Unchained. I think Calvin Candy is one of the most underrated, phenomenal performances of Leo of all time. Great stuff. So I've always enjoyed him as an actor. Okay, the next one comes from Alex McCutcheon, who says, I've told you before, but your videos have gotten me through panic attacks. I really do care for you and glad to see you're doing well. Make more videos. It helps some of us. Well, thanks for that, man. I'll do my best. That's. I will say this. This today was sort of an impromptu live stream. The next one will be a little more structured and sort of back to the normal pace of things. So, but I just wanted to come on here tonight and, you know, talk about some movies, answer some questions, and I just missed you guys. That's all. I just missed you. That's it. I don't want to get too weird. All right, let's go to the next one before I put all of you in a giant pickle jar down in my basement. Oh, and by the way, Alex McCutcheon, you get a party popper. 3, 2, 1. That sucked. You get another one, man. That was a dud. Hell yeah. All right. The next one comes from Claudio Rogajon. Here we go. If I don't have Night King 01 and Claudio Rogajon in my live streams, then I have failed. Here we go. Welcome back, John. And my question for you is, do you think that the Avengers Endgame will be a complete disaster because it's sounding more and more convoluted as time goes on, especially with all the characters in it? Well, I mean, having 49 million characters in an MCU movie is nothing new. Have you seen Infinity War? Have you seen Endgame? I think it'll be okay. I'm fairly certain they'll probably focus on like 10 core characters, and there'll be a lot of small performances that happen throughout the movie, a lot of cameos. But I think they'll focus on like a solid core of characters, something like Endgame. I'm looking forward to it. I am looking forward to it. I do like that they're bringing back the Fox version of X-Men, and the fact that the X-Men are starting to actually come to fruition in the MCU, and it's like it's finally happening. It's almost here. Okay, hurry the fuck up, please. That gets me excited because the MCU, I feel like, has ran its course with its characters to a certain degree. And it went a little bit south with like Doctor Strange Part 2 or whatever. But I feel like when you introduce the X-Men, that's like the rejuvenation that it needs. It's like it's revived for me. It's like, okay, the X-Men are far more interesting to me. And the possibilities with those characters and those stories that you can have for another decade, that gets me excited. So the fact that this is sort of like the launching pad of that is cool. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's not a convoluted, bogged down disaster. And I hope the story is somewhat cohesive and makes sense. And I'm really curious to see Robert Downey Jr.'s take on Doctor Doom. So I am looking forward to it. I meant to say Avengers Doomsday, my bad. What did you say? I think I just filled in the gaps there, didn't I? I knew what you were talking about. Okay, Skylar Wheelock says, name your favorite movies that involve a road trip. I'm going to go with Lord of the Rings and Logan. I love how we summarized Lord of the Rings as a road trip movie. Like Frodo and Sam are just eating Slim Jims, driving their mom's minivan down the road to go see a Kiss concert. Which, then again, that would be a movie I'd like to see. Imagine Gandalf just has a Mountain Dew in the back, and they're listening to like Metallica or podcasts. That would be a good remake of Lord of the Rings. And I think someone should make that movie. A modern day take on Lord of the Rings meets a stoner movie and a road trip movie. I'm just putting it out there. That could work. Anyway, I like the movie Road Trip. I think that's good. The movie Detroit Rock City with Edward Furlong that came out like 1999. I quite enjoyed that. That was another fun road trip movie. There was a movie I just watched for the first time. The Fundamentals of Caring. Yeah, this movie came out in 2016, and I had never seen it. And my wife told me to watch it. She's like, this is a movie I think you'll like. And I'm like, okay, let's check it out. It has Paul Rudd in it. And here it is right here. You have Paul Rudd and this kid right here. I don't know what the fuck that is. That's not it. But anyway, Fundamentals of Caring. This kid is like in a wheelchair, and he might be on the spectrum a little bit, but it's a really engaging and fun and endearing movie. But it's also a road trip movie where Paul Rudd wants to take this kid to a location because he's just never been there. And I thought it was a lot of fun. So if you're looking for like a fun, underrated movie that's a bit heartfelt, but also a road trip movie, and it has Selena Gomez in the movie too. I thought she was pretty good in it. Definitely check this out. I guess another road trip movie you could say is something like Zombieland. You could say Zombieland. That'd be another one. There's a ton of good road trip movies. I mean, it's not a road trip movie, but I mentioned it earlier, something like Stand By Me. I love Stand By Me. Like that journey that those kids go on down the train tracks. And keep in mind, the thing about a road trip or any trip, it's not so much the destination. It's always the journey. That is the part that's fun and exciting, and that's what you remember most. And so, yeah, movies like that. But what's another road trip movie that you guys like? Let me know. Mac and Me, Vacation. Okay, the next one comes from Gandalf. I'm kidding. It comes from Sal, who says, "Are you excited for Smashing Machine?" Yes, I am. Give it to me now. The Smashing Machine reminds me of like Darren Aronofsky's The Wrestler. It has like that grittiness to it. It definitely looks like someone said, let's make a movie like The Wrestler. Instead of a pro wrestler, let's make it on a UFC fighter, Mark Kerr. I've heard the movie's phenomenal. It got standing ovations. People have said it's easily The Rock's best performance, and just watching the trailer for like the 2 minutes that he's in it, I could say that's probably the best performance he's ever given in a feature-length film. So I cannot wait to check it out. That's my type of movie. Death of a Unicorn was trash. Road Trip was good. Mad Max Fury Road is my favorite road trip movie. Yeah, you know what? Fair enough. That's another great road trip movie in the post-apocalyptic wasteland. I'll go with that. And I will tell you this. If we went on a road trip in the post-apocalyptic wastelands, I would literally take off all my clothes, wear assless chaps, leather underwear, and a Jason Voorhees mask, and you would call me Flick Pick Humongous. That would be my name, and I would smother myself in baby oil. Actually, I would make you do it for me. Now, let's look at a picture of Lord Humongous just for a moment. Let's all embrace the glory known as Lord Humongous. All hail Lord Humongous. Leave the fuel, and I will spare your lives. Hey, reasonable. Reasonable, was it not? Just putting it out there. Okay, the next one comes from Confetti, who says, are you German? If not, what's your background? I am very German. I've looked this up before. I think my last name Flickinger means to flick things or make shoes or some shit like that. I come from somewhere in Europe, not Western Europe, sort of a little more Eastern. Like I think I narrowed it down to the location. It was like somewhere like right on the edge of Switzerland and like Germany, somewhere in there, some village somewhere, I think is where my last name stems from. So let me know if we're related. If not, it's okay. Okay, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Night King 01 once again, who says, I already forgot about Superman. I don't think there was any substance in that film, or at least not enough. Also, how is it the same universe where Peacemaker is having a cocaine-fueled orgy? Like, how is this in the same reality? I mean, I think anything could be in the same reality in Superman's universe. I mean, you look out the window and it's like the Green Lantern's fighting a giant squid and there's all kinds of random shit happening. There's kaijus everywhere. I don't know, man. I don't know. 1901 also says, I watched Batman 89 and Returns again while you're away from us. I realize both of these movies fall apart in the third act. Batman Returns, I think, is better, but the movie makes absolutely no sense, and Gotham only seems to be on one street. Oh, Batman Returns definitely feels like it was made in one of the smaller studio lots on the back lot of Warner Bros. Gotham City is essentially one small block. That's Gotham City. Everything takes place in Gotham Square. If we're going to have acts of violence, riots in the streets, a press conference, Batman's going to show up and light people on fire and shit, all takes place right there in Gotham Square. That's where Max Schreck gives his speech. Dad, go now, save yourself. Dad, go now, save yourself. I was going to do a Christopher Walken impression, but I just don't know if I can pull it off right now. But anyway, yeah, I do agree with you. The Gotham City sets in that movie were very small, but I like it. I still enjoy it. I love it. I love how perverted everyone is in that movie. It's just so dark and seedy, and I respect it. Show my French flipper chick. Anyway, let's go to the next one here. Skylar Wheelock says, could a gimmick like The Undertaker, wrestler with weird superpowers be successful today, or has the time passed for that sort of thing? You know, I would say it's sort of passed to a certain degree. Everything now has to be sort of grounded into some kind of reality to some degree. But then you still have it with characters like the Wyatt Six. And I will say when it comes to their character development in WWE, it's definitely been a bit lackluster and I don't really care about them as much as I was hoping I would. But I think there's a certain level of mystique that you can have, that fantasticalness, just a certain degree. As long as you don't completely insult the intelligence of everyone watching, I think you can get away with it. All right, the next one comes from Claudio Rogajan, who says, someone mentioned Clayface. It's based on the Clayface origin episode from Batman, the animated series, and from the plot synopsis, it sounds exactly like the episode, just stretched out for 2 hours. And my only question is, what's the point? I mean, what's the point of anything? What is the point of me talking about movies on YouTube for 2 hours? I don't know. I mean, by that definition, couldn't you just say, like, the synopsis to any live action comic book movie has already been done in a comic book? The story has already existed. So what's the point on expanding on such? I don't know, man. Just to relive it. A good story will always be a good story, I guess. But I think there's some nuance they can definitely inject into that story with Clayface. I think there's some stuff they can do with that. And if they do focus on a character study aspect of Clayface, that's fine by me. I think that's kind of cool. I kind of wish more comic book movies would be rated R and be a little more grounded and simplistic. I'm not saying you have to make like the Avengers grounded and simplistic, but I'm just saying there's certain elements and certain characters that exist in these universes where if the studio owns the IP, then why not take that IP and make like a really good character study movie that otherwise would never get made or exist without that IP attached to it? And for me, I'll take what I can get at this point. So, hey, let's check it out. Let's see how good it is. As long as it doesn't turn into a musical, I think we'll be okay. And he doesn't look like a giant brown turd like he does in the animated series. I'm sorry, I never liked Clayface in the animated series. I'm like, it's a big glob of mud flying around Gotham. Like, how am I supposed to connect to this? Patrick Flickinger, how's it going? Any relation? I don't know. This could be my real dad. Who knows? Hey, Johnny, just lost my job and would love some advice on how to quickly find a new job that fits for an aspiring actor. Did you try to go for something creative similar to FlickPick, or did you only apply for something more of a traditional job? You know, the truth is, YouTube does, in fact, give me the platform to be sort of as creative as I want to be. And for me, that's enough of an outlet for me. So for me, when I was looking for jobs, I wanted to find something practical that was very different than YouTube. I needed something different. That was my mindset. For you, if you're an actor and you want to find some creative gigs, you know, if you're good at presenting and speaking, I'm sure there are jobs that would line up, and maybe they're not the jobs you aspire to do, but there might be jobs that hit your skill sets. I mean, maybe there's a sales position. When it comes to sales, they like witty, fast-talking people who can connect sentences together and, look presentable. Maybe there's something in that line of work for you. I don't know. As far as like acting goes, I have no clue where you're located, what opportunities exist. I don't know. The acting thing to me, I wouldn't even know how to get into the game of acting. I really wouldn't. Other than auditioning your ass off, I could not give you any advice on acting. None. I'm just a dude who talks about movies, man. Like, that's who I am on YouTube. But good luck, man. I'm sure there's some practical application that exists out there that will fit your qualifications and skills if you just look high and low enough. Caleb says, love you, bro. No homo. I'm okay with a little bit. It's fine. Well, thank you for the question. Hey, if you touch mine and I touch yours at the same time, that cancels each other's out. So there's that. Just a little rule I picked up in high school, or a little trick of the trade. Anyway, did I ever tell you that I quite enjoyed gym class showers? Is that weird? I just enjoyed it. It was some of the most exhilarating experiences of my high school career. Carter Lovejoy says, and I know it sounds like I'm joking, but there's truth in that. There's truth in everything I say, I promise you. Carter Lovejoy, how's it going? Had all 4 wisdom teeth removed yesterday, and this is what I needed while recovering. Well, hey, man, you just keep that beautiful mouth of yours shut and let those gaping wounds heal and let the soothing sounds of the flick pick go into your ears and relax you, okay? And I hope you have a lot of Vicodin or painkillers to soothe your agonizing pain. Wisdom teeth being taken out, that sucks, man. I've been there, I've done it. But I hope you're recovering very well, and I'm glad you could join me, man. Anyway, here's the question. Any new 4Ks you got? Some great stuff we've been getting and we'll be getting soon. I talked about some of the new 4Ks earlier in the live stream. Definitely scroll back and check it out. I'm doing a giveaway once again of Megan 2.0, and I'm also doing a giveaway of 28 Years Later on Blu-ray. So like I mentioned earlier, after this live stream is published and the replay is available to watch, please leave a comment down below and let me know which of those movies you would like to win and why. I'll pick a couple winners on the next live show, so look out for that. But thanks for the question, man, and I hope you're getting better. So thank you, Carter, and glad you got your wisdom teeth out today, or yesterday. Skylar Relock says, Van Helsing is so underrated. The mirror reveal during the dance where everyone else is a vampire is so cool. Yeah, it's kind of eerie. The thing about Van Helsing is I stand by that movie. I know it's cheesy. I know it's kind of shitty. I know it's sort of the product of a corporation exploiting IPs that they own in the dark universe, and it is a bloated abomination to some degree. I am completely aware of all those shortcomings that the movie Van Helsing has. But with all of that said, it's a damn good time. Kate Beckinsale in that movie, top notch. Hugh Jackman, great leading role. Great as Van Helsing. Van Helsing. It's a little bit cheesy. It's a little bit campy, but I like movies like that. Sometimes it's good to have some cheese. Van Helsing was sort of like Universal's next try at making another Mummy universe. Like the Mummy with Brendan Fraser did so well, they wanted to make another established huge franchise that kind of felt like an action adventure movie in another time period. And I was on board with it. I'm so upset that we never got a Van Helsing 2. I think we should. I'm just putting it out there. But when it comes to that movie, like you had Frankenstein, the great stuff. Oh, and then you have Count Dracula in that movie. Oh, who literally feels like he's doing a John Travolta impression. Anyway, I like Van Helsing quite a bit. Tommy Lee, how's it going, Tommy? Missed you, Jonathan, for tonight's question. What balances the line between confidence and cockiness? Self-awareness. Self-awareness. You can be cocky, you can be confident, but as long as you're slightly self-deprecating in between those things and a little bit aware and can take criticism with a smile on your face, I think that's a good balance, and I try to do that. Sometimes it comes across as douchiness, and I'm very aware of that, but that's a small price to pay for glory. Let's go to the next question. Actually, I'm not done with yours yet. Let's keep going. Also, why is county pronounced with a cow, but country is pronounced with a k? By the way, I'm high. Yeah, these are the fundamental questions I ask myself all the time. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Is right a direction, or is right a stance on something? I don't know. It could be anything. They're both spelled the same. Who knows? But thanks for the question, Tommy Lee. And you get a party popper. Let me back up to give you a party popper. 3, 2, 1. Let me scoot back up here. My shirt was stuck on my chair, so there we go. Okay. Let's go to the next question here. We've been talking for about an hour and a half tonight. All right. I'm going to try to make this a 2-hour live stream. I got a lot to do tonight, and by a lot to do, I mean I have Chipotle sitting in the refrigerator waiting for me right now, and then I have to watch SmackDown and drink a Jack and Diet Coke. Skylar Wheelock says, my theory is that Avatar Fire and Ash ends on a cliffhanger and Jake Sully is captured and taken back to Earth. Do you have any theories? Excuse me. That's a pretty good theory. And I would I'm going to probably agree with you on that. I definitely think Avatar, after this installment, is going to Earth very soon. I think the Fire and Ash people team up with the Avatar that we know at some point in the movie. The movie really does need to introduce a new antagonist that's interesting. I feel like the last movie was sort of lackluster on that. Like, we copy and pasted Stephen Lang's character once again, and I'm sure he's going to turn into a complete good guy at some point, even though he's sort of swaying towards being a bit more of a villain, but I think he's going to come around in the next installment. And I definitely do think we're going to get to Earth slowly but surely. I've also had assumptions that Jake Sully dies at some point, potentially, maybe, possibly. At this point, you know what the best comparison to the Avatar movies is? It sort of reminds me of the movie The Patriot with Mel Gibson, where you have this guy and he's stuck in this war that he doesn't want to be in, but he has to act to defend his family and his country. And it sort of reminds me of Avatar. And he also has multiple sons who die in action because of the consequences of this war. And so it kind of gives me little Patriot vibes. You know, if the Revolutionary War had 9-foot-tall blue aliens, it kind of feels like Avatar, you know? But thanks for the question, man. Sal says, thoughts on Marvel Zombies? I have no clue on Marvel Zombies. I know nothing about it. Nothing. I have no clue. Sorry. Upshot Music TV says, would you consider being Cody Rhodes for Halloween? Like bleaching my hair blonde and talking with a lisp? Maybe. Cody Rhodes is going to be the upcoming new Guile in the Street Fighter movie, which is one of my most anticipated movies of next year. I can't wait to see a new Street Fighter movie. Now, the last one we got in like 2010 or 11, that was like, I watched 7 minutes of it. Terrible movie. The one that we got before that in 1993 or 1994 was an abomination against humanity. But for some odd reason, every time I go back and watch it, it takes me to a happy place. I'm like, oh, this is my childhood. And every time I rewatch Street Fighter 1994, I'm as disappointed as I was watching it in theaters. And that's coming from a guy who has a Yoga Flame edition of a Street Fighter arcade cabinet right there, with Street Fighter Turbo and all the Street Fighters on it, which I occasionally do play in my underwear late at night. So I think I answered your question. Junior says, thoughts on Peacemaker Season 2 so far? I have not watched it. I'm not a big fan of Peacemaker. I like me some John Cena, but the Peacemaker show just isn't like the kind of show I like to watch. I like stuff more like White Lotus or Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones or even Euphoria. You know, I want something a bit more like that. I never really got into Peacemaker. Quinn the Critic says, if I remember correctly, you've lived in Indiana, Ohio, South Carolina, and Alabama. Am I missing any states? How is living in the Midwest compared to the South? Yeah, I have moved around a lot, and I don't think you missed. I lived in Georgia when I was a kid, so that is one other state you may have missed. But yeah, I have moved around quite a bit, and I always seem to move around like on the east side of the country. And I think it would have been cool to live somewhere like in the West at some point, or maybe a coastal city, somewhere cool, coastal. I don't know. But I'll tell you this. I've lived in the South, and for some odd reason, I don't connect there. I don't feel like I belong there. It's something about the people and the way things work. I don't know if people don't like me or I don't like them, but it feels like there's a disconnection of some degree when I live in the South. Just the way things function and work. It just feels like just things that you need, like the DMV, for example. It just feels like the experience of going to it in the South is so much harder to do, and things are just more difficult and complicated than they are like in the North. Like, I belong in the North. I don't know. I'm a Yankee true at heart, I suppose, but I belong somewhere like in Indiana or Ohio. I just feel like I acclimate better to those areas. I don't know why that is. I've never been able to put my finger on it. I really haven't. Plus, less humidity is always better. I don't like feeling sticky. Sometimes I do, though. Gorilla Beach says, will you start watching Alice in Borderland still? It's been on the to-do list for a long time. At some point, I will get there. I just now watched a couple of shows that came out 4 years ago. So just give me time. Give me time. But yeah, at some point, I'll watch it, man. Jamzarm says, hey, Johnny, you complete me. Best way to depict Clayface is to make him similar in size to the T-1000. Just change texture. Yeah, the thing is, and I don't know if I'm just talking out of my ass. Maybe I am, but just let me do it for a second and do not correct me if I'm wrong until I'm done. So is this new incarnation of Clayface actually like he metamorphs into other shapes and objects? I assumed it was going to be like a deranged dude who had body dysmorphia who just like does self plastic surgery and surgeries on his face to manipulate the way he looks. I just imagine him like sitting in front of a mirror at home with like fluorescent light bulbs around him and like a tray of like sharp objects. And he's like manipulating his face and rearranging it and like doing things like that. That's sort of what I envisioned. My brain goes to something like Buffalo Bill rather than something supernatural. So am I wrong? Is that I don't know what the tone of this movie is going to be. And by the way, if you guys are in the normal chat right now and you've seen the movie Him, did you like it? Let me know. I'm genuinely curious what you guys think about the movie. I have not seen it yet. I don't know if I'm going to go out of my way to see it, but let me know if you guys have seen the movie Him in the chat down below. Dustin Rich says, you belong in or near Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, John. I lived there for almost 2 years. And you know, the thing about Akron is I just feel like 2 years there was enough. Okay, the next one comes from Skylar Wheelock, who says, which film made you want to travel to its setting immediately? Oh, man. Movies like something like Dazed and Confused or Fast Times at Ridgemont High, something about like the late 70s, early 80s vibe really is intoxicating to me. And I don't know if I was having a conversation with someone the other day, or maybe this was with myself as I was driving down the road, but I was thinking to myself, like, if I could be an adult in like 1995 at my age right now, I feel like that'd be really good for me. There's something liberating about living in a time where you had internet, you had dial-up, you had some technology, you had video games, you had the N64 on the horizon, but you just weren't overwhelmed or overstimulated with so much digital content pouring down upon you with all these different opinions. So anything mid-1990s or before would be kind of a cool time period. But I will tell you this, if I could just walk around, like push a button, go back in time and walk around for a day, not be stuck there, but just walk around for a day, and I'll tell you why, I would go back to ancient Rome during like the gladiator fight era. I would probably go to around then. I think that was like, what, maybe 300 AD or something. Maybe a little bit later. I don't know. And I just think it would be so cool to just walk around and just consume that time period. How surreal would that be? Like, go watch a gladiator fight that day as they throw bread at you, and I'm sitting there with a Slim Jim and a Diet Mountain Dew watching it. I just think that would be really interesting. I don't know. And then what I would do afterwards is I'd go to a public bathhouse, and then I'd wipe my ass with the same sponge 400 other people did and wonder why I got syphilis, and then I die. Let's go to the next question. Okay, the next one. Let me take a drink of this real quick. Okay, the next Black Knight is a fun movie. I watched that once. Okay, let's go to the next one here. Or what was the other one? A Kid in King Arthur's Court. How about that, huh? We definitely had a weird fascination with like the medieval times back in like the late 90s, didn't we? Okay, Night King 01 back again says, John, in the time that you left us, did you get a chance to watch The Driver? I did not. I'm sorry. But man, just one day. But let's keep it on the horizon. We'll get there one day, I promise. I promise you. I'll watch it at some point, man. But I did watch some other cool stuff along the way. I've also been playing a lot of video games. And breaking a lot of controllers. Quinn the Critic says, I started a YouTube channel, and for my first video, I talked about Stuckman's downfall and mentioned you in it too. Well, thanks for that. I'd appreciate a watch. I probably have seen the video. DM me, send me a link on X, man. Send me a link right now. Just tag me in a link to the video. I probably have seen it, though. I probably have. But if I haven't, like I said, send me the video. I'll check it out. Night King 01 says, I almost want to say I like Van Helsing, but I feel I shouldn't because that would betray the meaning of good taste. I know, I feel the same way, but sometimes you just gotta let go of that. Anyway, when the werewolf kills the Undertaker, I laugh my ass off every time. Same thing with the travel montage. That music is ridiculous. Do you mean the upbeat, fast music where they're like with the horses going and they're? I kind of like the music. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't hate it. But I know the scene where the Undertaker dies. It's just so abrupt and immediate. But it's funny. I like it. I wish more movies could just go for it like Van Helsing does. And I mean this when I say, I think if Van Helsing were made today, or if that was made for like Netflix or something, and it came out around Halloween time, I think people would appreciate it. I really do. Like, I think of a new generation. Here's what Netflix should do. This is how you trick younger generations of kids into watching older movies that they never watched before. But if you put it on Netflix, like they'll watch it and there'll be a conversation about the movie for like 3 days as it exists on Netflix in the top 10. I've noticed that multiple times. It's kind of interesting and I like it sometimes if it's a good movie or a bad movie like Van Helsing. But I'm telling you this right now. If Van Helsing, like in October, if they were to put that out on Netflix and say, this is a new movie and like younger people would watch it, have never watched it before, I think they would enjoy it. I really do. I think like younger, like 10 to 15-year-old kids would enjoy Van Helsing. Or 38-year-old dudes, such as myself. But anyway. Claudia Rogajon says, yes, from all the things that have been released, it's like the Clayface from the Batman animated series. He gets disfigured in an accident and is presented with an opportunity to fix his face with an experimental face cream. So supernatural, yes. Well, okay, but let's hang on for a second here, okay? Let's hold on to both nips just for 1 second and let's express ourselves. Are you holding on to yours? I'll give you a moment. 3, 2, okay. All right. So if they do make a new Clayface movie and it sort of has the same tone or maybe the same vibe of something like this, I'm going to stop holding my chest, the same vibe of The Substance, then maybe that would work. If it works like the way that The Substance works, where it's not overly explained, I think that would be good. Okay. I could work with that. Skylar Wheelock says, isn't a dystopian that we have to pay just to exist on a planet we didn't ask to be born into, especially when those in power are the ones destroying it? You know what? You have just hit on a key point I have dealt with my entire life. Every day since I was a kid and I had to wake up to go to school at 6 o'clock in the morning and stand outside in 30-degree weather waiting on a shitty old bus to pick me up that didn't have heat, to sit on there with a whole bunch of screaming crazy kids, to go to a place I didn't want to go to just to color outside of the lines and then go home. I've always questioned why we have to do these things because other human beings just decided that because they said so. There's no bestowed power that they have that should give anyone the right to mandate and control us and tell us what time we have to be somewhere, what time we have to leave. You have to pay taxes on top of paying taxes. Give us money for this, give us money for that. Stay inside your box, stay inside your lines. To me, it's bizarre. It's baffling to me that we do it. And sometimes I have to step back from society and go, it's so intriguing that everyone just follows the rules. Isn't this weird? And sometimes without it, you would have chaos and anarchy, and I don't want that. I really don't. But also at the same time, it's just like if everyone just woke up one day and said, let's just not do that, then it would change. It would. So yeah, I completely understand where you're coming from. I've always questioned that my entire life. I'm just like, why do we pay taxes? You just don't do it. What are they going to do? Nothing. And now someone's going to kick in my door and raid my house, and I will live in a padded cell for the rest of my life like Natalie Portman in V for Vendetta. Okay, let's go to the next one here. They're listening. Kyle says, John, you legend, I miss Tiny Todd, that's all. Why did he have to die? He had to die for the betterment of humankind and the sacrifices. I'm sorry, but Tiny Todd's in a better place right now, I assure you. So thanks for the question, Kyle, and rest in peace, Tiny Todd. Okay, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Vigard, who says, what games have you been playing lately? Well, thanks for the question, man. I only really play 2 games, and they're both free-to-play games. I canceled my Xbox Live like months ago, but I still do play online. I play Call of Duty Warzone, but I only play Warzone casuals. And I will say, I have won probably like 30 casual Warzone games. I'm just putting it out there. I know they're a little bit easier than standard, but there's still a multitude of people you have to beat, and there's a lot of bots, but I enjoy it. It's just less sweaty. It's more enjoyable. I can go around looting for a little bit and just cruise around on a motorcycle, and I don't have to like fucking aim everywhere and crawl on my belly to try. There's something about online gameplay that just has... There's no casual online gameplay anymore. Everyone is striving to be a pro. For what reason, I don't know. for me, I'm too lazy to care that much. I don't want to use my thumbs that much. I play video games to be lazy. I don't play video games to try. What? No. But it's kind of weird. It's the whole attitude towards video games has shifted. It's like people put so much time and effort and energy and sweat into video games to be the best of the best. And it's like, you used to just play video games because you were a lazy piece of shit and you were 25 years old still living in your parents' basement. Or at least I know I was. And I miss that version of gaming. Bring that back. That's my biggest detriment with online gameplay. You just can never, everyone's trying so hard. I'm like, you can just watch the way, and the other game I play is Rocket League. And that, in Warzone, if I suck and I get sniped away, like, if I lose in Warzone instantly, it's like, okay, I can deal with that. But I can't deal with it in Rocket League. I take it a little bit too serious. But I play people. Like, I'll be in a platinum ranked tournament. And these people that are playing, I'm just like, they don't make one mistake. Not one mistake is made. And I'm just... Then I take my controller and I just smash it over my knee. And I'm like, no! Then I go cry in the fetal position. And then I wake up and eat SpaghettiOs as tears trickle down my cheeks. Anyway, let's go to the next one here. Dustin Rich says, do we just exist to make the rich even richer? Absolutely. Absolutely. You think you're going to win? You think you're going to invest in the stock market and win? No. Those things have already been set and predicted months ahead of time. What we do is the rich just keeps using us as sheep. They herd us where they need us to be. We work for them. We produce for them. And they sit on top looking down upon us. Here's some crumbs, peasants. Here's a 1989 movie on Netflix. Go watch that and be entertained for 25 minutes. Peasants. So yeah, you got it. You nailed it. Okay, let's go to the next one here. I'm going to answer a few more questions, and then we will wrap up this live show. And we have been talking for almost 2 hours now. And like I said earlier in the live show, if you missed it, once again, giving away these two movies right here on Blu-ray, brand new, sealed in the plastic. You can smell the microplastics entering your soul when you sniff them hard enough. Like I said, after this live stream after it gets processed and is uploaded to YouTube, make sure you leave a comment, give it a like if you want to, and just tell me which one of these movies you want to win and why, and I will announce the winners on the next live stream next week. So how's that? Sound good? All right. Bro, you play Silk Song? No, I do not. And by the way, if you guys have a good recommendation for another video game that you think I would like, that's kind of fun, relaxing, a little bit competitive, let me know what it is. I've been waiting for Grand Theft Auto to come out, but I think it'll be another 7 years until we see that movie or that game. And the thing about Grand Theft Auto is I don't want to do any of the missions. I just want to drive around. I thought about getting Red Dead Redemption 2. I thought about that, but let me know. What do you guys play? What's fun? John Flickinger, any early movie memories you saw in the early 2000s in theaters? Early 2000s movie memories? Well, so in the early 2000s, I do remember, like, I'll just give you a random one. There's a lot. I remember seeing Jackass the movie in the early 2000s. And keep in mind, in the early 2000s, or at least at the theater I went to, where it was a really happening place, it was called Rave Motion Pictures. Now it's a dilapidated, shut down, shitty AMC theater that has not been updated since it was what is it called? The Rave. It hasn't been updated in like 25 years. It's literally closed down 2 times in the last 6 months because of bed bugs. That's right. Yeah. That's the place I went to see Superman in IMAX. And my head's always been a little bit itchy since I saw the movie. But anyway, it's a shithole theater. But anyway, it used to be the coolest theater in town. It was like the place to go when you were younger and you didn't have a driver's license, but you wanted your parents to drop you off and you could hang out with your friends and walk around and just hang out. But I remember going there to see Jackass. And when the first Jackass movie came out, I was a huge fan of CKY, the Jackass MTV series. And they were checking IDs at the door. You had to be 18 to see the movie. They literally had a police officer and like 3 crew members checking people's IDs at the door. So I remember going up to some random dude in the lobby saying, hey, can all 3 of us be your kids? And my one friend was like a mixed kid named Tony. And I now logically, this is plausible, but unlikely. But he did say yes. So I remember all 3 of us walked up, and this guy was probably like 7 years older than us. Okay. And he's like, yeah, these are my 3 kids. And we walked into the theater. That's how we snuck into it. And then after the movie was over, we walked across the parking lot to Walmart, and we were just in the Jackass mood. And I remember we got into shopping carts and pushed each other into the curb going 25 miles per hour. And that curb went off into a ditch that went down like 20 feet where you just roll down to the bottom of the ditch. But in the bottom of this ditch, it wasn't just like fluffy grass and it was like a nice cushiony fall. No. It was a wet drainage ditch that smelled like sewage water, and it was filled with broken glass bottles. So that was a tough lesson to learn that day. But that's a movie memory from the early 2000s. So there you are. Bicentennial says, John, you go live when I need you the most. Thank you. Well, you know what? I would say I go live when I need you the most. That's the way I want you to look at it. And don't you ever forget it. Have you played any WWE games? I used to play them quite a bit. The last great WWE game I played was like Here Comes the Pain. But before that, I was addicted to WWE No Mercy. I used to sit there every day after school creating characters, making pay-per-views. During school, I would write out like my pay-per-view cards I was going to come up with when I got home. So I used to play that quite a bit. Okay, I got a few more questions here. So if you guys have any questions, get them in right now. I'm going to talk just for a couple more minutes and answer the rest, the remaining questions. So here it goes. Night King 01 says, the first Clayface was a masked killer and the actor pushed aside for his older age and who was sabotaging the production of the remake of his own movie. I almost want that version of Clayface, but that would require Batman. I don't know. Maybe you could get away with not having Batman too much. He's kind of lurking somewhere in the story without showing up. I think it might be plausible. I don't really remember the Clayface story perfectly, though. I really don't. I should go back and rewatch that episode at some point. Claudia Rogajon says, me and my brother watched Rumble in the Bronx again recently. You guys watch that movie like every 3 weeks. And we had a great time. Right after that, we watched the original uncut, undubbed version we bought from Japan. And my God, you'll appreciate the version we got way more because Jesus, the acting. I can only imagine. I thought the acting that we got in the Americanized version of Rumble in the Bronx was pretty atrocious at times. My cushion! I loved it. But now I want to go watch that version. Jam's Arm says, hey John, have you seen Weapons? I liked it. Solid performance, creepy atmosphere, but feel like it was overhyped, kind of like Long Legs last year. That is great. I forgot that I watched Weapons, and I really did enjoy Weapons. I did. Was it everything I was hoping it would be? No. Did it go off the rails in a few weird directions? Yes. And did the writer and director come out and say he didn't really have a plan for the movie as he was writing it and a destination for the story? Yeah, he did say that. And can you tell when you're watching the movie? A little bit, but I really enjoyed the movie. I don't know if it has the highest rewatch value, but I thought when the movie went from what I thought was going to be something like Prisoners, then it got into like a supernatural element of the, what was the aunt's name? Aunt Mildred, or what was the aunt's name? The Uncle Buck's girlfriend from Uncle Buck. Someone tell me her name. Anyway, when it got into that territory and she just looks like a literal witch, she looks like a clown meets a witch. And I quite enjoyed that. Her makeup was creepy. She was creepy. And she can possess people to do certain things. There were a lot of elements to Weapons I quite enjoyed. So overall, I really did enjoy the movie. And there were some great scenes. Like the one dude who's just running down the street after people. They run like this. I thought it was fun. That's yes, I think possessing children and locking them in your basement is fun. Yes. Gladys. Yes. Aunt Gladys. And I've heard that they're going to make an Aunt Gladys prequel movie, which I think could work. I do think that could work. I really do. So I liked Weapons. Did it have a few like political messages that felt forced and didn't really make a lot of sense? A little bit, kind of, sort of, yes. But overall, I thought Weapons was a good time. Okay. I almost feel like I liked it more than Barbarian. I do. And that director always does the same thing. Tonally, each act of his movies are so different. And what happens is his movies always start out like a typical thriller type film. And then they always progress and become more and more off the rails to the point where they become like a B horror film, almost like I don't want to say with a grindhouse vibe to them, but they become like this like zany B horror film to a degree. And I don't mind that. I really don't. So Dustin Rich says, I recently compared X-Men 97 to all the MCU movies and realized it's better than at least 90% of them. Fun thing about X-Men 97, I did not watch the last 2 episodes of X-Men 97. I'm sorry. I have seen Warriors of Virtue, or as I like to call it, instead of Ninja Turtles, we now have kangaroos. Kind of, yeah. Do you agree with that? Night King 01 says, I'll add my brother's chat. I can't tell if Rumble in the Bronx is trying to be goofy or serious. On the one hand, you have dudes shoved into wood chippers. On the other hand, you have a ridiculous rivalry between Jackie and a biker gang straight out of TMNT. But that's the beauty of it, isn't it? That's the beauty of it. It somehow balances both of those things to perfection. Bruce Cook says, John, how's the right eye? I'm blind in my right eye, man. Everything's just looks like I have saran wrapped over my eye right now. It's all blurry and shitty looking. So Dustin Rich says, don't spoil Weapons. I didn't spoil anything. Trust me. You have no clue where it's going. Everyone dies. But everyone lives. Okay. All right. I'm going to wrap up the live stream right there. As always, guys, sorry I disappeared for a month. I was just disassociating and focusing on a few other things that took all of my brain processing power. And then the world kind of went upside down and turned into a dark place. And maybe there was some anxiety in there, or maybe a little bit of depression. And then you question your own mortality. And there's a lot of ups and downs. But nevertheless, I'm glad we're here talking about movies again. And the world is still rotating. So we'll do this again next week. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for the questions. And Night King 01 said, I'm telling you right now, John, that Rumble in the Bronx uncut version is a sight to behold. I don't understand how the director was there and thought those were good takes for the actors. It's like he just picked them off of the side of the road. Well, that's fine. But that's the beauty of it, isn't it? That's why it stands the test of time. I'd rather have a terrible performance that's memorable than a mediocre one that I forget. How's that? Plus, we're there to watch Jackie Chan just do creative shit with broomsticks and fight people. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the questions. And thanks for just looking at my stupid face for 2 hours and 9 minutes. If you want to give the video a like, that does help the algorithm. And that might just help you catch the next live stream. As always, have a good night. Stay safe. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you early next week with a brand new live show. And we'll get back to it. I promise you that. As always, Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.